Hello students, welcome back. Today our topic will be on chapter 6, Seasons and Adaptations of Plants and Animals. Students, as we all know, the earth moves around the sun. But how? It moves in an oval path called the orbit. This movement is called revolution, which takes approximately 365 days to 366 days to complete one full orbit around the sun. And the orbit has a shape which is called elliptical. So you should know that the Earth orbits the sun in an anti-clockwise direction, which means from west to east. The Earth travels at about 30 kilometers per second. Because the Earth is slightly tilted, different parts of the planet receive different amounts of sunlight throughout the year, which leads to the 4 seasons. But students, before I go to the seasons topic, may I know, do you actually know the difference between revolution versus rotation? Now, please remember that revolution is the Earth moving around the sun, which takes approximately 1 year. However, rotation is when the Earth spins on its own axis, which approximately takes 24 hours, and that is why we have day and night. Now, this slide shows you the difference between rotation and revolution. Now, since you know the difference between rotation and revolution, we will discuss on the 4 seasons. Now, the Earth experiences 4 seasons. As we all know, they are spring, summer, autumn, and winter, continuously as it moves around the sun, lasting around 365 days. Seasons happen because the Earth is actually slightly tilted at 23.5 degrees, causing the different hemispheres to receive varying amounts of direct sunlight as we orbit around the sun.
Welcome to our video on exploring the seasons of the year. Have you ever wondered why we experience different seasons throughout the year, such as spring, summer, autumn, and winter? Well, the answer lies in the Earth's motion around the sun and its tilt on its axis. The Earth rotates on an imaginary line called the axis, which runs through the North and South poles. This rotation takes 24 hours to complete, which we call one day. The Earth also orbits around the sun, and this orbit takes 365 days, which we call 1 year. Earth is tilted on its axis at an angle of 23.5 degrees. This tilt is what causes the changing of seasons. As the Earth orbits the sun, different parts of the Earth receive different amounts of sunlight depending on the season. As the Earth orbits the sun, the northern and southern hemispheres experience opposite seasons due to the tilt of the Earth's axis. During the spring, the northern hemisphere begins to tilt towards the sun, bringing longer days and warmer temperatures. This is the time when flowers and trees start to bloom. At the same time, the southern hemisphere begins to tilt away from the sun, marking the start of the autumn season. As the Earth moves farther from the sun in its orbit, the northern hemisphere reaches its maximum tilt towards the sun, resulting in the summer season. This is the time when the days are the longest and the nights are the shortest. The northern hemisphere receives the maximum amount of light during this time. At the same time, the southern hemisphere reaches its maximum tilt away from the sun, resulting in the winter season. The southern hemisphere receives the minimum amount of light during this time. As the Earth continues on its orbit, the northern hemisphere begins to tilt away from the sun, resulting in shorter days and cooler temperatures. This is the time when flowers and trees begin to shed their leaves, marking the start of the autumn season. At the same time, the southern hemisphere begins to tilt towards the sun, resulting in the spring season. Finally, as the Earth reaches its closest point to the sun, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, resulting in the winter season. This is the time when the days are the shortest and the nights are the longest. The northern hemisphere receives the minimum amount of light during this time. At the same time, the southern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, resulting in the summer season. The southern hemisphere receives the maximum amount of light during this time. The position of the Earth in its orbit also.
And students, for you to understand better, I have attached a short video here. Please enjoy and try to understand the video. Okay? I hope you understood the video in the previous slide. Now, let's get back to the seasons. Seasons actually depends on which hemisphere you are in and where the Earth is on its orbit. So, summer occurs when a hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. So the sun rays hit it more directly, resulting in a longer day and a warmer weather. However, winter occurs when a hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. So the sunlight is spread out over a larger area, resulting in shorter days and, of course, a cooler weather. So how about spring and autumn? Now, spring and autumn occurs during a transitional period when neither hemisphere is tilted towards or away from the sun. So it leads to roughly equal day and night lengths. Because of this tilt, the northern and southern hemisphere always experience opposite seasons at the same time. So for example, when it is summer in North America, it is winter in Australia and New Zealand. Students, you may take 1 to 2 minutes to fill in the blanks, and we will discuss this in the next class. Hello students. Now this topic, we will be focusing on how plants and animals are adapted to different environments that they are in. Students, have you ever wondered how animals and plants are able to survive in different conditions? For example, the desert or the wet environment, or even in the Arctic, the South Pole and the North Pole. Have you ever given a thought on this? Usually, animals or plants that are living or growing in extreme conditions have certain adaptations that can help them to survive that. Wait, but what is adaptation? Adaptations are features that help the plants as well as the animals to live in their environment. So, adaptations help animals survive in their environment. An adaptation is a body part or a behavior that helps an animal survive in a given environment. It helps the animal to breathe, get food, or even hide. All animals and plants are adapted to live in certain kind of habitats. If they cannot adapt, they will die out. Usually in a hot and dry environment, the desert, the conditions, they have very little water, small amount of rain or literally no rain, and the water water dries up quickly because of the heat. So in the previous slide, I mentioned about the extreme dry and hot condition, which is usually the desert. And the only animal, I would say the big animal that can live for a long time in that conditions are camels. Why? Because if you look at this slide, you can see how the camel's features or body is adapted to the condition at the desert. For example, long eyelashes to help them survive the sandstorm to keep the sand out of their eyes. They also have hump for storing food. They have padded feet to stop them from sinking into the sand, as well as to protect themselves from the heat of the ground. They have leathery mouth to eat spiky plants. So these are the types of adaptations these animals have to live in such conditions. But wait, how about the plants? In this slide, you will see how does a cactus survive in the desert. It has sharp spines to help it lose less water. It has bright flowers to attract pollinators. The thick stem and waxy skin helps it to store water. So these are certain conditions in a cactus plants that helps it to survive in the desert for a long time. Besides camel, lizards and rats can also survive in a hot and dry place. They dig burrows to stay in during the hot days, and they only come out at night when the temperature is cooler. So how about places where it is ice cold? Now look at this slide, you will see the bear. It has thick white fur to keep the bear warm and as well as for camouflage. They have thick layer of fat to help them insulate for warmth. They have very small ears to reduce heat loss. And of course, they need sharp teeth to eat their prey easily.